Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero show. Now kick that intro! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Now, a long time ago, when technology was not advanced as it is now, folks had to use typewriters to type up speeches, term papers, essays, any other form of documents. Now, nowadays, when we use computers and everything, all we have to do is just backspace to, correct mistakes. But back then, when they had typewriters, they didn't really have the luxury of doing that. So what they had to use was whiteout to correct their mistakes. And, I was thinking about that, and I believe that, nowadays, we have to white out our mistakes. Now, there's a difference between whiting out mistakes and covering them up. The worst thing you could ever do when it comes to a mistake is covering it up, because you're not learning from it. Now, correcting a mistake, on the other hand, that's when you learn something, because you look back on it and then you learn from it and then you move forward. And I believe that's something that we all need to do with our lives. And it doesn't matter what kind of mistake or what walk of life you may come from. If you learn from your mistakes and move forward, then I can guarantee you're going to have a much better life than you are now. And sometimes, it's not just mistakes. Sometimes it can be negativity. It could be things we've said to others. It could be, disappointments we've had, or in some cases, it can even be hate. Now, hate is something you don't want to live with. You do not want to have hate in your heart. So I say white out hate, white out regrets, white out disappointments, and instead of covering them up, correct them and move forward. And that's exactly why I'm wearing this white default Comic Hero tee, because I believe that when it comes to adversity, any form of adversity that we may face, or any form of negativity, we need to. I believe that we should vindicate ourselves from those, because just covering them up and pretending they didn't happen, that's not a way to live. But then reflecting on them, learning from them, and that's the way to do it. And I'm saying this right now to anyone that may be living with a past mistake, or any form of negativity, or any form of disappointment, or even with hate in their hearts. Living with those isn't moving forward, but getting past them and learning from them, that's the way to do it. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. All right, on last week's episode, I asked, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sam Wilson is from Louisiana. Where is he from in the comics? Well, the correct answer is Harlem. Now, before I draw this name, I just want to correct myself on an error that I made when I was giving hints on last week's episode and on social media and on YouTube. Harlem is not a borough in New York. Instead, it's a very massive neighborhood in in the island of Manhattan. And I want to apologize to anyone that tried to answer the question and was a little confused by that. And also want to apologize to anyone from the island of Manhattan, and in particular the great neighborhood that is Harlem. But 10 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, your name's been entered in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Logan Knudsen from Bossier City, Louisiana. So congratulations, Logan. Win yourself a free comic hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is a Batman question. Which Batman villain once hung Nightwing, the Red Hood, and Robin in the Batcave after defeating all three of them at once? Now, here are the hints. Now, the first two are for comic book readers, and the second two are for folks that don't read comics. And one of them is quite funny. All right, the first hint is that this villain made his debut in Batman Vengeance of Blank in 1993. Now, I'm not going to say what the blank means because that's giving away the answer. All right, the second hint is that this villain's real name is Melvin Lipschitz. No, I kid you not. That is his real name. All right, here's the other two. These are the dead giveaways. This villain was famous for breaking Batman's back in Batman number 497 in 1993. And then the final hint. This villain was the main villain in The Dark Knight Rises in 2012 and is played by Tom Hardy. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Now, I have the esteemed privilege of featuring a comic hero throwdown showdown fight requested by one of my favorite comic book writers of all time, and I'm talking about Gail Simone. I mean, she has written almost everything Batman and also has written Wonder Woman, and she has a fight that has one of the most deadliest kung fu fighters in the Marvel Universe going up against the most deadliest kung fu fighter G.I. Joe has. Representing Marvel, we have Shang-Chi. And representing IDW, we have Snake Eyes. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Shang-Chi versus Snake Eyes. Shang-Chi is a master martial artist who possesses mastery of Chi and self-duplication. Snake Eyes is a master martial artist, hand-to-hand combatant, and sword fighter who is also an expert spy and covert missioner. Who would win? This fight would be hand-to-hand combat a majority of the time. The two would either trade or block punches and kicks for minutes on end. Then Shang-Chi notices that Snake Eyes never grunts or makes a sound when he either punches or kicks, and avoids punches and kicks. As a matter of fact, he never says a word. This is because Snake Eyes is mute due to damage done to his vocal cords in an explosion. The sounds from Snake Eyes both overwhelms and annoys Shang-Chi. The latter gets so annoyed that he uses his self-duplication technique to confuse the former. This proves to be unsuccessful because Snake Eyes remembers where Shang-Chi was standing at the time he duplicated himself. Snake Eyes pretends to throw a star at one of Shang-Chi's dupes so rapidly that Shang-Chi never saw that it was really coming at him. The star stabs Shang-Chi right between the eyes and causes him to crash to his knees. Snake Eyes then ends the fight by delivering a vicious roundhouse kick to Shang-Chi's temple. Snake Eyes wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. What can I say? Yo, Joe! Thank you, Gail Simone, for that request. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll have another one for next week. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! All All right, there are two things we're going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and they're both Marvel related. All right, now the first is the return of the original Cable. Now, it's going to be part of a mini-series called Cable Reloaded that's written by Al Ewing with art by Bob Quinn. Now, Bob Quinn has done artwork on the Champions and Captain America, and is currently the regular artist on the new X-Men series Way of X. And Al Ewing is currently writing Guardians of the Galaxy and the Immortal Hulk, killing it on both of them. Now first off, I kind of figured that this was going to happen, that he was going to be brought back to life, because when early on in the in all the X-Men books, it was revealed that these mutants calling themselves the Five have learned to resurrect fallen mutants, and I know this, and I know that who's going to be the main catalyst of this, and it's Hope Summers. Now, to go back to to tell why I believe this, I would have to go all the way back to 2007. There was this mini-series that in this event that was spiraling throughout all the Marvel books, all the X-Men books rather, called Messiah Complex. And at this point, there were still 198 mutants, and a lot of them lost their powers due to M-Day. But then Hope became the first mutant born after M-Day, and then there were a lot of folks going after her. I mean, the X-Men wanted her, then Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants wanted her. Now, keep in mind, the X-Men are all about, mutants and humans living in harmony, where Magneto and the Evil Mutants are all about self-preservation. And then even humans wanted her dead. But Cable, the miniseries ends with Cable taking Hope and going through time and preventing her from any hurt, harm, or danger, or anything like that. Now, Cable's mission, while in the present day, he's Cyclops' son from the future, but he comes back to the present day to prevent certain events from happening, and along the way, when he watches over Hope, it's almost like he drops the ball, and then there are other things that are happening, and then the younger Cable ends up killing him. But I get it, because the original Cable is Hope Summers' adopted father. So I get it. But I can't wait to read that. I can't wait. I mean, I knew this was going to happen. And, because Hope is one of the Five that can resurrect other, that can resurrect dead mutants. I mean, the others, besides Hope, are Tempest, Proteus, Elixir, and it slipped my mind. Hope, Proteus, Elixir, Tempest. Oh, and Egg, or the X-Men formerly known as Gold Balls. And then all of them, along with Professor X, can now resurrect mutants. But I can't wait for that. That's going to be a great mini-series, and now business is finally picked up, because I wonder what's going to happen to the younger Cable. All right, now the second thing is that it's been announced that after the conclusion of the historic run on Black Panther by Ta-Nehisi Coates, there's going to be a new Black Panther series, and it's going to be written. It's going to be written by John Ridley with art by Juan Cabal. Now, John Ridley is also a screenwriter. He's written the screenplays for movies like American Crime and 12 Years a Slave. And then also, he most recently had written one of the better miniseries for DC's Future State line of books, and that's The Next Batman. And he's currently writing the follow-up to it called The Next Batman, Second Son. And I know he is going to do great things with Black Panther. And Ron Cabal, who is also a great artist, just finished a stint on Guardians of the Galaxy. And I can't wait to read this. I mean, Tana, I didn't really think that much about Black Panther. Didn't really read it. But then when I found out that Ta-Nehisi Coates was writing it, then I've been totally on board ever since. So, can't wait. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Children of the Atom number 3. Fantastic Four number 32. Guardians of the Galaxy number 14. Heroes Reborn number 2. Loving this book right here. The Joker number 3. Superman number 31. Wonder Woman number 772. Really looking forward to this one. X-Corp number 1. And finally, X-Factor number 9. Alright, that's 9, which brings the total number of comics that I've bought since December of 1997 to 10,609. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode, and here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which Batman villain once hung Nightwing, the Red Hood, and Robin in the Batcave after defeating all 3 of them at once? Now, here are the hints again. Now, the first hint is that this villain made his debut in Batman Vengeance of Blank in 1993. Now, again, I'm not going to say what the blank is because that's giving the answer away. All right, now the second hint, this villain's real name is Melvin Lipschitz. And again, I kid y'all not. All right, third hint, this is a dead giveaway. This villain became famous for breaking Batman's back in Batman number 497 in 1993. And then the fourth and final hint, this villain was the main villain in The Dark Knight Rises in 2012 and was played by Tom Hardy. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Logan Knudsen from Bossier City, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this week's episode. Alright, now next week's episode, I'm going to celebrate Memorial Day. Now, Memorial Day is when we honor the men and women that have served in all 5 branches of the U.S. military who are no longer with us. Whether they were killed in action, missing in action, prisoners of war, or have died later on in life. I'm wearing a Comic Hero tee, and I'm also selling this Comic Hero tee on my website, IamTheComicHero.com, for $17. And here's something else I'm going to do regarding the tees. Now, if you would like, if you know someone that's in your family who is deceased, that served in any of the 5 branches of the U.S. military, and you would like their last name on their shirts, I will gladly do that with no extra cost. And I personally know some families of fallen soldiers and veterans, and my heart goes out to y'all. I mean, there's just no words. But I'm quite sure, and I'm not. Oh, no, there's no sure. I know that their sacrifices were not in vain. And I personally know some families of fallen soldiers and veterans, and my heart goes out to y'all. I mean, there's just no words. But I'm quite sure, and I'm not. Oh, no, there is no sure. I know that their sacrifices were not in vain. And this goes out to the families of those that have fallen and have died later in life. And I just want to say this to anyone else. This is on my mind here. But when Memorial Day comes on May 31st, before you start grilling and cooking your food, go out. Remember the fallen, and if you know the families of any of the fallen, reach out to them. I can guarantee that they're not going to lend a deaf ear. All right, and again, if you made a mistake, if you made a mistake, if you're going through any kind of negativity, not a good thing to cover it up, but it is a good thing to correct it. And by correcting it, I mean reflecting on it, learning from it, and moving forward. All right, I'm Victor Noli on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 357. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero!